Okay, so now I've got the mix set up here for the last section I did where I actually made groups. And I made a template of this, and then I just kept it, and I'm using this for the overall mix. And it's a hip hop mix here, like a boom bap mix. So I'll play back some of this from the top. Let's go right here. Okay, great. That's how it sounds. So what I did first was to get the drums tight. So I've got separate outputs. Like for example, here I've got the strings right here, right? So my strings are here, and my strings group or the bus is right here. So I'm going to just turn that track off. I got another group right here, and this is not labeled. So I forgot what the label of that was. I think that was the, oh, that's the girl's background vocals. So let's go back and let's do this. Let's label this track here. Let's rename it. And this is the BGV bus. Right there, perfect. Then right here, we've got the keyboards. Right, that's 13. And the guitar is 11, the bass is 9. Now, what I'm going to show you right here is just going to be the drums. So I'll put the drums on. Yeah, perfect. These are my drums. And so each drum has some sort of specific job and a plug-in tied to it. I'll come to here, and we'll see here if I solve this up, and I pull this up here. I'm using a basic kick drum EQ that's sort of like worked around a little bit here. Give me a nice solid bass drum sound. It's clean, clear. That's great. And that sound is coming out of there. It's the, right, here's a snare. That's other bass drum. Right. The ghost bass drum that goes with it. Yep, you hear the double. The next I have here, I've got a snare drum. Right, here's a snare. And I'm using an SSL channel strip right here. Got the reverb there on it too as well. My send is right here. So I'm making a pretty tight snare drum, a little bright sound to it. Want to make some snap out of it. Make sure it's really nice and poppy against the bass drum. Perfect. This open hi-hat right here. Nothing here. I have an overall EQ for that one. Here as well, these are just a bass drum right there. I want it to be just the way that is right there, like that. I got two hi-hats here. Great. And I'll just, these are the hi-hats 7 and 8. That bass drum's right here, the little boom. Open hi-hat right there. Snare, ghost kick, and kick drum. Really cool. So they're all going through a bus. They come here through my drum bus. Here's my drum bus right here. So if I turn this stuff off, that's how they really sound. Of course, the reverb's too loud, but that's because I have so much other things going on here on the drum bus. If I turn this stuff on, though, it works. First element here, I'm using tape. I want to keep this tape sound going on. There's a real good feel to it. So I want to use tape here. See, I'm using the repo head, not the input. And that's how we have everything lined up here for our drum bus here. Great, excellent. This is on. That's cool. And so that's how you hear that there. Now, I also have a bass line here in this track. And so I'm going to come to here. I will turn it on. Turn the drums off here. See, this is why I have my drum bus. All everything lined up from buses. I can hear them back easier. That's deep. So the reason why it's so deep is I'll come to here in the drum bus, and we're going to see the effects on here. First one is going to be the P1A, and here it is right. Nope, the first one, sorry, is the Avalon. Now I'll put this in front of this one actually. See, more bottom now. Avalon in front. A little more of that mid going on there. That's why I have that. So the P1A is right here. This gives me a lot of bass here. Let's take it out. See that? This gives me that real nice, smooth, real low bass right there. It's not interfering with the drums either. So if I turn the drums back on, you get the feel of like a real nice, full sound there. The bass and the kick drum are not colliding. Now at this point, I want to make sure everything's going to be tight in the system. So what I tend to do is make sure my master output is going to be right. So I go into my master output right here, and here in my master output, I keep primarily things I want to do and add that are going to be throughout the entire track, but right here, it's going to test them to make sure they're correct with the bass and the drums. So I'll come in, the first thing I have in this lineup is going to be this overall EQ setup. And this is my master EQ on the master output. And this is my mix out bus, right? And right here, this is it here, I'm using the Hitsville EQ. Now, turn it on now. Next, I want to use an SSL bus compressor for my mix bus output. I'm going to pull this up so you can see this one. There it is right there. Now turn it on. Really solid. We're keeping it stiff now. Excellent. These things are just working. And to show you that, how good this is, I'll turn them off. You get the idea that everything's there. I need to tighten it up though, give a nice EQ response where it's going to be like the mid-range, the highs and the lows, everything's there. So I put this in, I put in the compressor. We got a nice overall solid sound. Now the next one I'm going to use is going to be my ozone. I prefer to use this a lot of times. This is going to create this width within the track. You notice here, I'm using 27%. I can widen it more. And it's just getting wider here in the mix. I'll pull it down. Watch this. It's thinner. This is what it normally would be. I'm widening the mix up a little bit right there. About 40% is good. Next, I want to add some warmth. I don't want to keep it too analogy. I want to keep it nice and warm. So what I prefer to do is I'm going to use what I'd love to do here is pull up a tape. And this is going to be the ATR 102 from Ampex. Let's pull this up right here. This is it right here. Here's my tape. All right. I'm using a 456 here, 1/2 inch. So we normally use, and we actually, in the old days, you're going to cut tape. Well, this gives you that same sound back. It's a great plug-in from Universal Audio devices. Really great. Great sound, great feel to it. As you can see, this added so much to that mix. It's just the bass and the drums, but the sound is standing right there in front of your face. Excellent. Very good. I'm not going to add the rest of the elements. So I want to add in this guitar. The guitar right here. I added in SSL strip too as well. Here's an SSL mixing console strip. Got aggressive guitar type setup. It's really cool. And next, I want to bring in the keys. Nice EQ on this, really good. Now here we're back with the Avalon. Love the Avalon, great device in the studios. You know, this is just the classics. Every studio in the world probably has this. I always have one of these in a session. Next, we're going to use one of my favorite compressors here. This is the Fairchild 670. Has a nice color to the overall sound. Just a really great classic compressor. Next, I want to bring in these background vocals. Okay, good, yeah. I got the reverb on them. Little reverb here. It's a little delay right here. A little overall chorus reverb. Now strings. The drums are still there. The bass is still there. The other elements are there with some more strings, so they're almost ethereal, but they're standing up in the mix. Great sound. And that's how I mix down inside of Ableton Live to give it a sort of a hip-hop feel. I love doing this technique because I can make the groups. I can also apply effects on top of those groups or send the effects. As you see here, I send the effects directly from the actual track. In the groups, I may add something if I want to add a little more effects to the overall group sound, but I have enough already rolling in here. And this is how I get my setup going, my basic setup to get started. We're actually doing maybe a full mix or something before we even do the vocals. And this way it's all set up, ready to go. I can always tinker around when I get the vocals in. When I get the vocals in there, I want to make sure I have a nice space for the EQ section or the area where the frequencies for that vocalist is going to be perfect for them to sit right in the track. Any questions, hit me up at SamuelKings.com. And of course, we have a phone number there as well. And as you saw in the beginning of this video, all the information is right there. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.